So, what is structure mapping in Forex or in SMC? So, I need you all to understand that SMC is the backbone of two things in Forex trading, which is structure and liquidity. If you want to up your game in this business, you have to understand true structure mapping and you have to learn how to spot liquidity in the Forex market, right? So, but one thing we need to understand is inducement. Inducement has to be taken out before we confirm a confirmed break of structure or change of character. So I'm gonna make this really brief, right? So we have a downtrend, right? So we have a downtrend, correct? Cool. So usually if we are to mark this basically as we know it, would after the break of this structure here would mark here and say would mark here and say there was a break of structure here. There's also a break of structure here. There's also a break of structure here. There's also a break of structure here. I mean, this is what people usually mark and they call this break of structure. This is a recipe of failure. If you want to fail in this business, in the forex trading business, map structure like this and this, they mark this and we call this break of structure. Whilst in reality, this is just nonsense. I see a lot of traders marking this as, or they will simply say after the breakout, they'll simply say, in this downtrend, they'll simply say, here's the lower high, and after the breakout, here's the lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. This is just so wrong. So now, what's the proper way of mapping structure in the forex market? I said something earlier. Inducement has to be taken out before we confirm our actual what lower high and lower low. So what's the correct way of mapping structure? So we have after this valid break of structure here. I said something in the previous videos that one. How, okay, so fine. How do we identify this inducement? Inducement is usually the first pullback after every break of structure. So now, if you look at this break of structure here, where's our first pullback after this break of structure? Here, correct? So when we mark our inducements, which as per the first pullback, right? When we mark our inducements as per first pullback, what happens? Here automatically becomes your what? You map here as your what? Lower high automatically. You map here as your lower high what automatically. How do we confirm our pardon me? You map here as your what lower low automatically. How do we confirm our lower high? Our the only way we'll be able to confirm our lower high is what is when this lower low has been was broken. Once this lower low has been broken, full candlestick with a full candlestick, then you can then mark here as your what your lower high. So here again we have this break of structure. We have this one here. There's okay. There's no pullback here. So this is just a one. This is just a one leg like this, right? So we have the pullback here, and so right. So we have the pull. We have the pull. We have a break of structure here, and after the break of structure here, we have this second one. So from this move now, where's the first pullback before the break of structure? We have this pullback here. So let's mark it out. We have this pullback, which is also known as what IDM or inducement. Once we've taken out inducement, what's the next thing to do? Identify our lower low. Where's our lower low? Here. Now, how do we confirm our lower high? Would confirm our lower high when price automatically what kicks out this low, right? When market automatically automatically takes out this low. And when market takes out this low, where are we going to mark as our lower high? Automatically going to identify this point as our what? Lower high. So it's an iteration. So we have a break of this structure. Where's our first pullback? We have here as our first pullback, which is inducement. So we've taken our inducement, correct? After our inducement, what do we look at? What do we look at to do again? We identify our what? Our lower low. Where's our lower low? Here. When do we identify our lower high? Our lower high is going to be identified afterwards the break of the structure. And after the break of the structure, where's the highest point? We have here as the highest point. So we mark here as the what? Lower high. So it keeps going on and on. We have a break of structure here. We have a break of structure here. Where's our first pullback after the break of structure? Here. So let's identify it. Okay. So price didn't take it out. Rather, price came here to break this structure here. So where's our first pullback? Here. Let's identify our first pullback. Our first pullback is here, correct? After you identify your first pullback, what then happens? You mark our what? Lower low. And then until price what takes out this lower low, would identify our what? Our lower high, which would be what? Until price takes out this lower low like this, right? Then we'll mark our we identify this point as our what? Lower high. But what happened here? Price didn't quite take out this low. Price rather what? Took out this high, right? Which, okay. So, but price didn't take out this low, right? So now we have a range, right? We have a range from this last lower high to this low here. So as I said before, until price breaks out this level here, we'll have what? Confirm our lower high here, but price didn't take it out, right? What did price do? Price went all the way up here. Price went all the way up here to break this structure, right? So this will be identified as our what? Change of character, right? So after this break of structure, where's our first pullback? We have this after this break of structure, this is our first pullback. Then price broke this break of structure, right? And came all the way down to take our inducement, which is our first pullback, correct? So mark out our first pullback, which is here. First pullback, which is also known as our what's IDM, correct? IDM. So once we identify our first pullback, what do we do? We identify our what? The next thing we do is to identify our what? Our high high. Where's our higher high? This level here. So until price what breaks this higher high level, until price breaks this level up here, then the lowest point here, which is here, would be identified as our what? So our lower high. That's correct. Would be identified as our lower high. So we also have a break of structure here. We have a break of this structure here. Correct. We have a break of structure here. What's our first pullback? We had this to be our first pullback, correct? And what the price do? Let's identify this as our break of structure. We have this as our what's IDM, correct? We have this as our IDM. Once we've identified our IDM, what's the next thing to identify? Our lower, our what? Our higher high. And where's our higher high? Here's our higher high, right? So after price breaks out this from this high, which is here like this. After price breaks out on this high, where will be our higher low? Yes, we have this point, the lowest points in the market here. Like after the break of the structure, the lowest point becomes our what? Our higher high. So it's an iteration, like it's an iteration, guys. It keeps going on like this. You have to learn how to map structure this way if you want to understand. So this is the only correct way of mapping structure in the forex market. How to learn how to identify or take out inducements and you know. So I'm going to be taking us in the charts in a minute, so we'll understand. We'll have a better understanding on structure mapping. So I'm going to teach us here more practically on this chart how to map structure correctly. So in this example, we have a downtrend, correct? And if we look at this point, so we had a break of structure here. We had a break of structure here, right? So let's identify a break of structure. So after this break of structure, although this we might identify this as a liquidity sweep, but it still counts because after the break of every structure, where's our first pullback? Here is our first pullback, right? So once we've identified our first pullback, which is also known as our what engagement, what happens next? We identify our what lower low, and until the break of this structure, right? This one, until the break of this structure here, we identify what until there's a break in this structure here, we'll identify this level as what our lower high, correct? Pardon me. We'll identify this level as our what lower high. How does our break of structure? After this break of structure, where's our first pullback, guys? We have here to be our first pullback because if you look here, we had this move, then the break of this like this. We have something like this. It should something like this. Then we have this first pullback which is here like this. Then break of this one. Then we have price like this. That's taking out this engagement. We have something like this. Correct. So this is our first pullback here. After our first pullback has been identified or our engagement has been taken out, what do we do next? We identify what our lower low, which is here, which is here. Then after the break of this structure, after the break of this lower low, where do we identify our lower high, the highest point, which is here. You can see, guys, it's an intuition. It works everywhere. After the break of this structure, look carefully. This is not a valid pullback here. We have this to be a valid pullback, right? So when you mark, when we mark our, when we identify our engagement or when engagement has been taken out, what do you mark first? The lower low, lower low, correct? And then after the break of this structure here, where would you identify as your lower high? Yeah, correct. The highest point here, right? So it keeps going on and on like that. It keeps going on and on. After the break of this structure, look well. Where's our first pullback? Or where's our engagement? This point. This is also is a valid pullback, so we're going to mark it as well. So after engagement has been identified or after engagement has been taken out, where is our lower low? Here. And after the break of this lower low, where's our lower high? Highest point. Correct. Right. So We have breakout of this structure here. We have this after the breakout of the structure. Where's our first pullback or engagement? Here's our first engagement, right? Here's our first engagement. But then again, okay, price didn't take it out. This move didn't take it out and break. So we have price maker. So here we have like a one leg move like this. One, two, like this. Correct? So okay, so let's look well. We actually have this we actually have the break of this. Although in my argue I was a liquidity sweep, but yeah, it counts. So when we identify our first pullback, which is also inducement, what do you do next? You identify our lower low, which is here. Right? Don't forget we have a range here until we confirm change of character. Don't forget that there's a range between this high and this low here, correct? So you can see that when price rallied, I think this is like 50%, price did what broke. So we identify here as well what lower high. So that's it, guys. It's very easy and it's very short. The basic point is to first identify the first pullback. The first pullback is known as your what inducement. When you mark the first pullback, then your lower high or your lower low or your higher high and your lower low will be confirmed. That's the only valid way to mark or to map structure in SMC and the forex market. Have a nice day, guys.